Hello and welcome to the Pokemon Gold Manipless World Record Commentary. You'll have to forgive me as I am a little stuffed up in the nose, but I got this world record a couple of weeks ago and switched to Gold with Manips, so I wanted to go ahead and get this commentary out before this stuff gets too fuzzy in my head. So I guess let's get it started. And for the first time ever, we have the original game audio, but only the game audio with this commentary, which is going to be really nice. I'm looking forward to that. Figured out the separate audio track thing, so it'll be nice to enjoy the wonderful Gen 2 music. So, like most other Pokemon runs, we are going to name our character a single character name, doesn't matter which one, but each time that name prints, you save as many frames as would be the difference between what you would have named it otherwise, which adds up to be quite a lot over the course of the run. Not as much as naming your Totodile a single letter, which saves like minutes over the course of the run, but you'll also notice that we set the in-game clock there to 5:41 p.m. and that is important for the run. The Gen 2 games are on a day-night cycle, and the encounters that you can find, or even how likely they are to be found, change with what time of day it is. So the reason we set the clock like that is so that the run starts during daytime, and we can find Sentret and Bellsprout. And then by the time we get to Illex Forest, if we still don't have a Pokemon that you can use Cut, we can get Oddish or Paris there. So setting the clock like that maximizes the chance that you'll run into a Pokemon that can learn Cut at some point, because you need to have Cut by the time you get to Illex Forest, or a little bit through Illex Forest, because there's a tree that stops you from progressing. So here we're going to check Totodile stats, and we see 12, 12, 10, 11, 10. Attack, defense, special attack, special defense, speed. What I was looking for there to continue was at least 12 attack and exactly 11 special defense. Now you might be wondering, well, why special defense? Why does that matter? Well, in order to be compatible with Pokemon traded from Gen 1 and Gen 2, the special attack and special defense stats are still controlled by a single DV. So the growth rate of your special attack and special defense is linked to one value. So we get a pretty big indication on exactly what our special attack and special defense are based on that special defense number. It's a really valuable way to screen your Totodiles, because you know that if you have 11 special defense, then you have at least 12 DV special, which is the minimum that you're willing to run for this category. And then attack, that's just like 5 or higher DV for it being 12 at level 5. So what that winds up meaning is that you're about 1 in 6 to see a Totodile that is good enough to leave the lab and further check if your stats are going to be good enough to continue the run or not. So from here, generally I was accepting 10 attack as the lowest. So that means that we have about a 50% chance to get attack that's good enough from here. So overall, that means 1 in 12 Totodiles roughly are good enough to attempt the run with. And that's not to say that defense and speed like don't matter. Defense kind of doesn't matter, but you don't need to reset purely because of them. They're only a factor among many others in deciding whether you want to reset or not. But the 12 special attack and 10 attack are like pretty hard minimums. You really don't want to go lower than that. And of course, higher is better. 15 attack, for example, perfect attack is amazing. There's quite a few things that gets that lower attacks just don't. You'll also notice, even though it was a minute ago now, that we killed a wild encounter. And there's a very good reason for that. The primary reason is that if you don't gain just a little bit of extra experience somewhere, you're just shy of level 29 before heading into Chuck's gym. And you use a rare candy there to get from 29 to 30 to then evolve into Feraligatr for Chuck's gym, which is really important. It makes an absolutely massive difference to be Feraligatr there over Croconaw. In addition to that, you also just barely miss getting Water Gun at level 13 before you fight the first rock type Pokemon in the run. So that's also another really important reason to gain just that little bit of extra bonus experience. Now this, I don't remember that this Chikorita is so troll. So it is very favored to use Growl on turn 1, but in order to make this game easy mode so that children can beat it, enemy AI status moves have a 25% chance to miss or fail or whatever against you. So the fact that he used Growl and then it hit is annoying, but then he missed tackle. He actually missed tackle again later in the fight. So he hits the 75% move and misses the 95% move twice. Getting growled there winds up costing you 2 full turns. So you'd really like to avoid the growl. It's close to a coin flip, actually, to not get growled, because he's 75% to use it, and then he's 75% to actually successfully land it. So you do pretty often get out of there without getting growled. But after Chikorita, we leveled up and we got a lot more information about our stats. And you see in the bottom right-hand corner, the ranges that my stats could be are shortened. It's a smaller range because I have more information based on the level 5 and level 6 stats. I'm using a program that calculates what the values can be. But the primary reason that I use that at this point is just to display the stats on screen for everyone to see throughout the run. I actually have most of the values memorized at this point, because you always are killing the same stuff every run pretty much. I mean, there's minor differences in stat XP, which is the EV equivalent in earlier generations. You gotta watch out for that guy. If you're not paying attention, you just mash in there, you press A, it brings you through the catching tutorial. Happened to me a couple of times. So we're really hoping for a Sentret here. That is the most good cutter to get. And you're actually pretty likely to get one. You have to go through quite a bit of grass here, and it's like, I don't know what the exact encounter rate is. It's probably like 45% or something, maybe 40 at the lowest. Ooh, that was weird. I got a little turn frame action there. So no Sentret, and there are no Pokemon that learn Cut on this next route. So you actually just don't want encounters here at all. You want to get all your encounters where you could get a Sentret. Getting a Cutter is, like, it shouldn't be a problem, but somehow it winds up being a problem because there's like quite a few places that you can get a Cutter. But I ran into quite some issues finding them. Anyway, so back to our stats. We saw that our special attack and special defense. Ooh, nice crit. Nice crit. That definitely does not die. We saw that our special attack and special defense were both 12 at level 6, which means that we have either 14 or 15, so perfect or 1 off perfect special attack, which is really, really good. That's like a super big deal. And it's quite a big difference from even 13. Now, it's time for the first spinner of the run, and if I remember correctly, there shall be some nonsense that occurs here. We call Mom in this menu because if we don't call her, she'll call us, and it's faster to do it while you're already in the menu attaching the berry there. Whoop! It's actually crazy that the run could have just died there. So I definitely thought that spinner was stuck. If a spinner hasn't moved after a certain number of frames, it means that they're stuck for like 8 or 9 seconds. And I was so sure that he was stuck. It must have been like the very last frame that he could still spin or something. He totally faked me out, and then I like stopped because I was like, oh shit. And he was actually looking down too. Spinners in Gen 2 are absolutely insane. They can spin like so many times in the time it takes you to take one step, and the swings of time that you get for having to fight a whole additional trainer are just massive. Like even the fast ones are like 45 seconds. It's just, yeah, a large part of the run becomes, you know, whether you can avoid spinners or not. Alright, so we switch Rage into slot 1 there. We'll be using a ton of Rage. So having it in the first move slot is, I think winds up being faster. I'm actually not sure now, because we use a different move order in Manipped Gold, and I think I may have just been using a slightly outdated move order. But it winds up being pretty close to the same, because you do use quite a lot of Rage. So I actually crit that Spearow twice, which is crazy, because it usually doesn't die to even if you crit the last Rage, the one that does the most damage. It's still not the best range, so killing him in 3 turns there at level 7 is pretty crazy. Saved us some HP. And a turn, of course. So the way that Rage works is that, you know, for each consecutive turn that you use it, if you take direct damage, so like an actual attack that hits you, so like Sandstorm wouldn't work to stack it, but like an actual hit, you gain a stack of Rage, and that makes it do more damage as long as you keep using it. And it scales like crazy, so it's the primary reason that Totodile is the best starter. That's crazy. Wow, I did not remember all this. That crit is a damage range, and it's not a particularly good one if I remember correctly. Like, I've crit that thing quite a few times and it didn't die. That's some crazy crits, man. Damn, we crit the Pidgey on Mikey. We crit Spearow twice to save a turn, and we crit that Pidgey. That's a good little first split. I believe we are. I just healed, that I'm nearly full HP for this fight. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it's actually impossible to lose this fight from here. Oh, nice. Tackle miss for the time loss. So we don't get a stack of Rage there because the tackle actually missed. I'm going to try to blow my nose to get some of this nasally stuff be not as bad while this fight finishes real quick. All right. You don't have to feel as bad about that because you get to listen to the nice Gen 2 music. I love that we have that going without having to hear my old self talking over this. It's kind of interesting. I think this has got to be the only example in any Pokemon speedrun where a Pokemon Center heal is 0 steps out of the way. Because you have to take this egg to progress the story. So you have to walk up to that tile. The Pokemon Center heal winds up healing your Rage PP, which is really low, and the damage that you took from the Falkner's fight, which is really relevant. So it works out really nicely. But yeah, it's just cool that it's 0 steps out of the way like that. So this guy right here will stop you if you didn't take the egg. That's why you have to take it. So analyzing the Falkner split, that's a really good Falkner split, actually. We don't have a cutter, whereas PB and World Record both did, and that's worth something like 45 seconds. But yeah, I mean, our encounter rate was like decent, but we just like oh, and then the rival fight was like Growl, which lost some turns, but we got some crazy crits, so it wound up actually being a really nice first split there. That supersonic misses. That's nice. We do have a Bitter Berry equipped, which heals 1 instance of confusion, which is great because there's about 1 million ways to get confused on the split. But that one missing is really nice. We get no encounters there. If we did get an encounter, it would have been, I believe, 30% to be a Bellsprout, which does act as a cutter, but the Bellsprout can do quite a lot of damage to you with Vine Whip. It also knows Growth, which does nothing, unless it breaks out of the ball and then hits you with its puffed up Vine Whip. But turn 1 confusion from this Goldeen, and there's the Bitter Berry gone for the rest of the split, but hey, that's what it's there for. You will notice that this fight was not actually forced. I could have just walked past this guy. But with the encounter we killed early, you see, just barely, and that Goldeen, we get Water Gun. And that XP is also necessary for the Chuck level 29 that I mentioned earlier. So those are the 2 optional bits of XP that we get for the whole run. Because the very next forced fight here is going to be 3 Geodudes, which is a miserable fight using, letting Rage stack like 7 times or whatever. So that was another spinner that we just went past. That's Daniel. And Daniel has 1 Onyx. So Daniel is actually the best, quote unquote, best spinner to hit in the game, which is why I passed him pretty aggressively without pausing or anything. Because he only takes 1 turn to kill. And the experience that Onyx gives is actually really useful for quite a few things. But it's not worth it to like actually fight him on purpose. But you don't lose that much time in the long run if you do happen to hit him. So I'm assuming that I'm going to pause for Bill here, the next spinner. And unlike in later generations where like pausing and opening the bag actually like freezes spinners and allows you to walk past them, in this game, it doesn't actually like affect what they do at all. Killing that Geodude has some experience benefits as well. So you saw me pause on each of those passes there. So the reason that you do that is purely based around reaction time. And then this second Geodude kill is also valuable for experience. I'll talk about where that will come into play later, but I won't be killing anything else. That's the most experience that I need is 2 things. Or the most experience I want. You can go without getting it. It's totally fine. But so when you're passing a spinner, you're pausing to allow yourself time to process the information that the spinner has just given you. And there's 2 pieces of information you're considering, which is how long it's been since their last spin and which direction they just spun last was, because that impacts your decision for whether you want to go ahead and try to pass them or not. So the way that it works is the longer it's been since a spinner has spun, the more likely it is that they're going to spin on like the next frame. And the second thing is that the directions that they spin are linked. So here he's facing up. The linked direction to up is left. So this is a good pass. LOL. Down is not a linked direction. And so what a linked direction means is that up and left are linked, down and right are linked. So when a spinner is facing up, he's 50% for his next direction to be the linked direction. So in this case, left. And 25% each for the other 2, down and right. So we had a situation where this spinner, Anthony, had just spun and in an unlinked direction. So it was essentially the best pass that you can get. And he just hit us. And that's how it goes. Sometimes he just hits you. So Anthony is not the greatest spinner to hit, for sure. The Machop taking 3 turns is completely brutal. And that's a big time loss. However, combined with the 2 Geodudes that we killed in Union Cave, and Anthony himself giving quite a lot of experience, we will see some decently significant experience breakpoints hit that will allow us to save some time back from having hit him. Not nearly as much as it costs to do the fight, but... And take a little shop here. Get everything we need. It's worth noting that I still don't have a cutter. Despite all those Union Cave encounters and such, I still lack a cutter. So the set the clock to 5:41 p.m. so that it changes to night situation is actually coming into play here, because we're going to need it to be night for Illex Force. The alternative to that is not setting the clock, and then when you get to the end of Union Caves, you just have to sit there and camp for encounters, hoping for the 30% chance that one is Sandshrew. So this is super minor, but we're level 15 for these rats, which let us use Scratch instead of Water Gun to kill them, which saves a couple of frames per move use because Scratch is a shorter name than Water Gun. And that is our first benefit from getting the extra experience. A couple of frames saved back from the, 50 plus seconds or whatever it took to fight Anthony. Wrap there on turn 1, super not ideal, because I'm trying to get through this whole section without healing again. And that's just not going to happen, is it? Switch to Rage there is actually faster. It's such a shorter name than Water Gun that it's actually worth switching your move, your cursor to a new move. So I was going to try to get through without healing, but now, yeah. Now that I have to open the menu to poison, I'm just going to go ahead and Super Potion, because it's so unlikely that I actually make it all the way to the end without having to heal. That it's just, it's better to play around getting confused in this fight potentially and hurting yourself and stuff, since you're almost certainly going to have to heal it either way. I guess I haven't mentioned my stats since we actually figured out exactly what stats we have. My special wound up being perfect, which is fantastic. That's going to come into play. And my attack wound up being 11, which is not amazing, but it is a step up from 10, like a decent step up from 10 attack. There are some issues with it, but overall, with the 12 speed, which is definitely on the high side, and the very, very chunky bulk from 13 HP and 11 defense. Remember, 15 is the highest. This is a really, really solid Totodile for Manipless, where you just have completely random stats every run. You know, obviously we're weeding those out by resetting pretty aggressively, mostly for special at level 5, but still, you know, there's plenty of runs I've done that have 0 speed, which, as many of you know, is such a huge problem. Poison gas turn 1 doesn't matter. You get healed after this fight for free, so just like one little poison tick there. Mm, 29-minute into the gym with no cutter. Yeah, that's not amazing. For sure. We lost a ton of time on the split. Mostly from the spinner, but pretty high Union Cave encounters as well. Feels like 4. Maybe even 5. Phew! Dodged the last supersonic. Yeah, every single Zubat that we fought, plus the Slitybot and the Goldeen, all have supersonic. So Your one little bitterberry has to get through all of that. And it did. We got confused exactly once. Swap. Oh no, you don't swap Clair. That's funny. That's a manip thing. Or just a different move order, really. That was a pretty tough two-shot. That first roll on Scratch was not great. Look at that, exactly level 18. You know what that means. I was not sure if I was going to get that or not when I was doing this live. Croconaw for Bugsy, not something you see every day. Certainly not something you see every day in the world record. You need quite some extra experience for that to occur. Okay, you see, that was a perfect example of unlinked direction because it was down and right is the linked direction. And he had just spun. So that was like pretty much the best pass you can get. And pausing allowed me to see that information, process it. So we're actually going to lead with Water Gun here instead of Rage because you need so few Rage stacks to make this fight go well because you're a Croconaw that it actually becomes better to save the turns on Metapod rather than letting him stack up your Rage for a few turns. See, if we just got Poison Sting there, it would have been over. We didn't. We got one stack of Rage heading into Scyther. Now, Croconaw is a beast, but he is not one Rage stack to two-shot Scyther a beast. So we're actually in a bit of danger here. Potentially. Or so you would think. But it turns out. That Croconaw's defensive stats just make Fury Cutter do shit for damage. Normally, if you get hit by 3 Fury Cutters as Totodile, you need to be like almost full HP to tank that. You'll usually die to it. But because we were Croconaw, we took 3 Fury Cutters and had plenty to spare. So yeah, Croconaw for Bugsy makes it pretty hard to die. And yeah, we are nearly a minute behind PB. And PB has a cutter, and we do not. World record, of course, also having a cutter. See, I paused there when teaching the move. Because I actually need to keep Rage in order to catch a cutter. Because the Pokemon that I'm going to try to catch in Illex Forest are so low level that all my other moves just one-shot. Or in the case of Water Gun, doesn't do enough. So I was like remembering at the last second, oh shit, I need to not teach over Rage with Fury Cutter so that I can catch this cutter. This is possibly the worst fight in Pokemon speedrunning, by the way. This fight is so horrible. You saw the, I believe it was a Hypnosis miss. This Bayleaf can just destroy you with Razor Leaf crits, which are 1 in 4 in this game, by the way. 1 in 4 to crit with high crit rate moves. So we get level 20 here for this Zubat, which makes this go from like a terrible range to 2-shot into, I think nearly, if not guaranteed, with Perfect Special at level 20. And yeah, that was an amazing Rival 2 fight, actually. Hypnosis miss, reflect, and then no confusion. 2-shot on Zubat. Super, super good. So now we have not repelled as we normally would have for this section because we need to find ourselves either Oddish or Paris, which is 75%, by the way. 75% in Illex Forest at nighttime to find a Pokemon that can learn Cut. And you see this Oddish is only level 5. I swapped Fury Cutter into slot 1 there because that's where it's supposed to be, and I'm liable to make a mistake if I don't get it where it needs to be. And yeah, we just catch ourselves a Cutter, right? Just kidding. I don't know what that catch rate is. It's probably like 85+%. To get in from that HP. I swear the Illex Forest Cutters always be trolling me. And we did it. We finally got a Pokemon that can learn Cut. I think I was going to maybe consider not healing for Whitney there. But I wound up taking way too much damage to even consider that. So you see there is the tree that marks the final place where we would have needed to have the Cutter by. I'm actually going to use Cut from the Pokemon menu here since I'm in front of the tree. Normally your repel works out to where you can't do that. You actually have to just click on the tree because you've been forced to repel, and then you repel and teach Cut in the same menu. But this time, because our repel's all messed up, we were actually able to Cut from the menu. That's like the weirdest tile for repel to wear out ever. Gonna go all the way in this grass to avoid this guy on the right there. He's got a very long sight range. Another weird, it's so weird to see the repeller out there. Get the Goldenrod, go straight for the bicycle, of course. Register it to the select button for the rest of the run, and on our merry way. So we are level 20 for Snubble here, which is a lot more achievable than 20 for Zubat, like we got this run. But this gives us a pretty decent chance of two-shotting instead of it being like almost impossible. But we get not a great roll and then Charm. So time to pivot. And the beautiful critical. Look at that. No damage. Gorgeous. All right, everybody's favorite, Whitney. I have seen some things. Now, I believe you're going to want to pay some attention to chat here. So I think that was this run that some crazy stuff happened. So we get Metronome Acid Armor. Okay. And then we get Metronome Acid Armor. Okay. Okay. Which is totally fine, of course. And we win. Fury Cutter OP. And then we teach over it. I always love that. You use all that Fury Cutter to beat Whitney and then teach over it instantly. Okay, I thought there was a Metronome Acid Armor in chat from the bot also. Maybe that wasn't today. No, there it is. There it is. Look, over at Acid Armors, and then the bot mimics what Whitney's Clefairy would do. It has like only the moves she could do. So we get the Acid Armor. Basically another one, if you think about it. After the double on Whitney. So crazy. Pick up the free Spearow with mail. That will be our flyer for the run. Very convenient. Now we need to get the coin case here. And you do wind up having to fight both of these guys later in the run when you're doing the rocket segment to get past this part. So getting their XP earlier is a lot more impactful than if you saved it for later when the experience is like almost meaningless. I'm gonna have to blow my nose again at some point here. When should I do that? I guess I should have done it during this fight. I could probably do it pretty fast and just do this and then get the coin case. and back. Time to jam. That guy. I do everything I can so that he doesn't block me, and he actually managed to do it. That girl can block you too. She can walk down. There's less you can do about that. You can move in such a way that you have less of a chance of getting blocked by the guy. But he still got me. He sure did. I love how it's faster there to try to buy another Abra with the 0 coins that you have than it is to like actually back out of the menu. Cute. Sell our TMs for some much needed cash. Buy 2x attacks there. You would only buy 1 if you had 14 or 15 attack. But we need both for Chuck. Look at that crispy escape rope buy and then not so crispy exit out of the buy text. And then one of my favorite strats, using the Abra we bought from the game corner to teleport back to the last Pokemon Center we took, which is very intentionally Violet. And now we need to deposit the egg because it's faster to deposit it than it is to let it hatch. And then we deposit Croconaw at the same time because that acts as if you took a Pokemon Center as a full HP and PP heal. Get Croconaw right back to the front. And then since we're already in the menu, it's faster to use the squirt bottle from the menu than it is to click on the tree. So now the era of flinching begins. We have Bite and Headbutt. Moves that have a 30% chance each to flinch. Man, look at that. Another good critical. This run had a ton of good criticals. So right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's something we haven't talked about yet. After a wild encounter or a trainer battle, you have 4 tiles of immunity where you can't get an encounter. However, a turn frame where you turn in a direction you aren't facing, coming from a stationary position, like when you're not moving, actually eats one of those immunity tiles. So you can get an encounter on that very last grass tile there, and it's so troll. So Kimono Girls, we opted to fight Jolteon first here. You actually pretty often fight Jolteon last. But because we have 12 speed, doing the Kimono Girls in this order puts Espeon second to last. Which I believe with 12 speed makes it a speed tie. Which can be really valuable because Espeon has Sand Attack. And it also has Confusion, which does reasonable damage and also has a chance to confuse you. I've lost more than one run to getting confused and then hurting myself on Espeon. I think I actually lost nearly 2 runs in a row to that. Critical confusion confuse. Yes. Flinch on the Umbreon. You'll love to see it. I think they all have sand attack. The Jolteon may or may not, but he always Thundershocks though. It may just be that you're faster than Espeon if you do it like this with 12 speed. I'm not sure. Let's see what happens. Headbutt. Flinch because we're faster. You can't flinch if you go second. And then whether it was a speed tie or not, that's some value. That's why you do reverse order. The flinch alone or the go first on the second turn alone, super valuable. But yeah, that was awesome. And then your headbutt PP count is actually really tight in this section. After all that, we get the miss. After such a beautiful Kimono girl section. That's sad, don't you think? But yeah, your headbutt count is really tight for this section. You want to use as many... You wind up using all of them. And you want to use them in the most valuable way possible. So... because we did Jolteon first, we had to headbutt him instead of headbutt scratching. But then the extra experience and levels that you get before fighting Flareon, since you do him last, allows you to headbutt scratch him, whereas you would normally headbutt scratch the Jolteon. So it works out to being the same number of headbutts in front order or reverse order with the Kimono girls, but you just change where you use the scratch. Oh yeah, you guys can't see. Oh yeah, this is where I normally will get up and go to the bathroom. I use my wireless GameCube controller that's plugged into my GameCube to mash the A button and go take a bathroom break, because this is you just mash A for this fight and nothing can go wrong. And the strat is to turn your volume up really loud on the game so that I can hear the clicks and level up sounds and stuff from the bathroom. And make it back just in time. Not that you guys can see, but I did. I got it down to a science. Not that I've been past this part of the game. It's actually been... It had been so long. Not this part, but the part right after this, which is catching Poliwag after you beat Morty. It had been like 6 weeks or something since I had been past that. Absolutely insane. That Haunter does not die, so him using Curse is really nice. Cutting his own HP for us. So here in this fight, you actually have to watch out for your speed. We're fine on this run, so we can use Surf. But if you have, I believe, 7 or less speed, then you wind up being speed tied with the Haunter here. And if you used Surf on Ghastly, the Haunter can win the speed tie and then use Spite on your Surfs, and that is a disaster. You can manage it if it's 1 or 2 that get spited. Or maybe it's 2 is the minimum. If it's 2 that get spited. 3 is a problem, but you can manage. 4 or 5, you are screwed. So it doesn't wind up mattering in this run because we have good speed. And get to save the super effective text on the Ghastly, which is like over 1 second, like over a full second. The super effective text and text box takes, so you want to avoid that wherever you can. All right, Morty. If you still have your Paralyzed Cure Berry equipped, and you're nearly full HP, you actually can't lose this fight. Without the Paralyzed Cure Berry and lower HP, it's actually quite dangerous. Yeah, because if you get paralyzed on that turn, then you have to heal it off, and then you take another tick of curse, and then you can be in trouble. The dramatic pause while we wait to see if we got the flinch. We did not, however. Miss Hypnosis is wonderful. Untimely crit, but that's okay. And quite a few little Hypnosis miss. Supersonic miss this run. Just a high number of crits, like total, but also a high number of good crits too. All right, now for what has plagued so many of my runs. This stupid section. We need to catch a Pokemon that can learn Waterfall and Whirlpool, because those are HMs for some reason that are required to progress the game. And this is the best place to do that. But first you got to actually get the encounter, which can take forever. Like, I've sat here for like 45 plus seconds before and not gotten the encounter. That was pretty good. That was pretty damn good, well, all things considered. And then it can just be a Poliwhirl, which has terrible catch rate. But we got what is actually the perfect level Poliwag, because this Poliwag lets you use Bite pretty safely. As you can see, it lived on nothing, but you'd rather use Bite than Water Gun because of not very effective text, first of all, but also the flinch is good because it has Hypnosis. And it just does good damage, getting it really low HP. But then notably, that level 17 Poliwag only knows 3 moves. I believe, pretty sure, only knows 3 moves. So when we go to teach it moves later, one of them will be taught instantly instead of having to go through all the, are you sure you'd like to teach over the move or whatever text. So actually lucky to see exactly level 17 Poliwag there. Lower level, you can't use Bite. Higher level, it learns more moves. And you saw we actually tossed the Awakenings, no, the Antidotes and the Paralyze Heal there, because the Gen 2 menus are quite sluggish overall. It takes quite a bit of time to scroll past each individual item, even at the fastest possible speed. You can kind of see that here when I scroll down. You know, it's not horribly slow, but doing that over and over and over again, getting to the items that are below that, winds up costing quite a bit of time across the run. So it actually becomes notably faster to just toss them from your bag, even though we did need to have them. in the event of all the things that can poison us and paralyze us. But now we have full heals that we bought in the Goldenrod Mart, so it's okay to go ahead and get rid of those now. Clear up the bag. Song is another banger. So you would actually like to use headbutt on these Growliths because they do die to headbutt and you don't get the super effective text. But you don't have enough headbutts to headbutt them because you'd rather use headbutt on the somewhat dangerous Pokemon in Chuck's gym rather than these Growliths that just die to water gun, even though it's a few seconds slower. With Meryl, you just actually have to headbutt, though. Nothing else lets you two-shot. Time for another spinner. This one is named Ernest. And you see another perfect pass there. Unlinked direction. Since up and left are the linked directions. And he was facing up, and we were passing on the right. And he had just spun when we paused. So very, very good pass. As likely as possible to get past him. And so this is that experience breakpoint that we mentioned earlier, where you're rare candying from 29 to 30 and you this is where you need that experience by. We wound up having decently more than enough experience because we got extra experience in Union Cave as well as an entire extra trainer. So now our XP is normalized with a run that didn't gain any extra XP, since every run rare candies from 29 to 30 and the candy puts you to the bottom of 30 no matter what. Swap super repels to the top of the bag there, since we'll be using a ton of those. We don't want to be scrolling all the way to the bottom. Whoa, weird movement mistake. We don't want to be scrolling all the way to the bottom of our bag to use an item that we're going to use a ton of times. So this trainer that we're going to swim right up to right here is a rotator. So she spins on a predictable cycle, one direction after the other, left, up, right, down. This is a spinner. Her name's Kaylee. So that is an unlinked direction pass. Down and right are linked. We're passing on the up side. But she spun not too long ago. But that one wasn't as good as the other passes, where it had been just a bit longer since her last spin when we paused. Still definitely good enough to take that pass, but I'm just kind of illustrating that while that was still an extremely good pass and 100% worth taking, it wasn't quite as perfect as the others. Look at that. It's actually kind of difficult to do. That repel wore out just before the gym because I took that extra step when I bonked into the sailor after coming out of the lighthouse. So there's like no lag at all after that repel text box clears. So it can be difficult to move exactly one tile to get into the gym after that. Why you shouldn't make the movement mistake in the first place. You look how much damage that Hitmonlee does. If you were Croconaw here, I believe you're just slower and take shit tons of damage. So it is crucial that you are for Alligator for this. Also, it doesn't die in 2 hits. I think. It's been a while since I saw a Croconaw for Chuck's gym happen, but Machan's a troll. Obviously that Ice Punch could have frozen. We do have full heals, but what a troll. Seismic toss from him. Tons of damage. I do actually wind up healing here. I agree. It also allows you to use strength from the menu, which is a bit faster. Not by like much, but you would ideally want to wait until you see how much damage you take from this fight when deciding whether to heal or not, but since you can strength from the menu if you do it before this fight, just go ahead and do it. Even if I took 0 damage from this fight, it's still a decently risky Chuck. Because I don't have like super good attack. I'm basically giving Chuck an extra turn. And we wind up getting Rage from Primate. So he would have been at 48, which is, yeah, still pretty dangerous. I mean, you can die to Chuck from full HP. You're never completely safe. But it's not like this run is, you know, particularly special at this point. Leer hit. Leer fail. So we would have been at damage range to die from Dynamic Punch. And our last headbutt on Poliwrath, one of the most dangerous. Another Hypnosis fail. Remember, the AI has an extra 25% chance to miss status moves. We actually take a lead over world record here and save a nice chunk on PB, who I'm sure got trolled by Poliwag. It's a solid Chuck split. Solid. We have another spinner coming up here. His name's Benjamin. But now we have a very powerful spinner passing tool at our disposal, and that is the bike. Because you spend so much less time on the tile when you have the bike, you're significantly less likely to get hit by the spinner. So, see, that was a linked direction. He was facing down and we were passing on the right. So he was 50% for his next spin to be right, the direction that we were passing. But he had also just spun when we passed. So on like the greatest run ever, I might not have taken that pass. Maybe. But on the bike, that's still relatively safe. Use the Pokédoll here to consider the fight as won and get the scale, which is the same exact thing as using it on the Marowak, by the way, but no one cares. No one complains about that one. Lance casually hyper beaming a guy. That's funny, in chat said the same thing. It's time to fight some rockets. And there will be lots of rocket fighting in our future. I don't mind these sections, honestly. As long as you're on decent pace, it's like engaging enough to, at least as the player, to quickly, do everything. So for example, like I'm going to be holding A here, right? I only held it for a short amount of time, but hold A to press fight and then let go, press A again. And the timing to do that, like as quickly as possible, consistently, is pretty difficult to keep up for an entire run. To do it decently is trivial, but to do it nearly as fast as possible every single time is actually pretty challenging. And it's easy to get complacent with that when there's so many fights that you're doing in a row for that are just like, free fights. And that timing actually changes as the run goes on. It's something with like the stat numbers getting big or something, that there slowly becomes more lag, or maybe there's just a particular like stat threshold where like more lag is added. I'm not crazy. It definitely happens. Somewhere around Clair's gym, it becomes really noticeable. Like you have to pretty significantly change your timing for that hold, release, press to select your move. But yeah, like, yes, if I was just practicing this section for whatever reason, I don't do that. Yeah, it would be pretty boring for sure. And I think from a viewer's perspective, it's probably most people's least favorite part of the run is this underground rocket section and then the radio tower rocket section. But you know, doing the run on relatively good pace, I actually really don't mind that at all. It's kind of like a different kind of execution test as well as like a focus thing. So Lance healed us HP and PP there to full. And this begins what is a massive PP management section where each move that you use is really important, that you use the correct move on each and every Pokemon, because it's like perfectly crafted where we pick up one E30Us on Surf and we don't heal our PP again all the way until just before Victory Road from here. Which is a lot, right? That's a lot of fights. You gotta milk the most out of every last PP. Oh, the phrasing, man. Oh, the phrasing. Yeah, I'm gonna blow my nose. I'm gonna leave you guys with that one for a second. Oof. Right, now that we never have to speak of that again. It is crucially important that you do not forget to talk to this trainer. Because even though I know that the password is Slowpoke Tail, my character does not. So if you forget to talk to her and go all the way, you're screwed. So I don't think that I've ever done that before, but I still feel like it's really easy to forget. It's her and then the trainer after this one that you have to talk to for the passwords. This guy's technically a spinner, but you're fighting him on purpose for the password, so it doesn't matter. In addition to managing power points perfectly, for example, this rat attack can use quick attack, right? And that damage sticks all the way until just before Victory Road through Jasmine and Clair's gym. So the damage that you take here can be relevant all the way in Clair's gym, whether you have to heal or not. If you have good stats, especially good special, it's a lot less likely that you'll need to wind up healing in the end, which is why, one of the reasons why good special is so good. But still, beyond the fact that quick attack just wastes time, it's important. The damage that you take and all the way from here is important. So yeah, getting no quick attacks from any of those rats was really good. Like a 10-second swing if you get all of them, plus the damage. All right, time for some excitement. This fight features two Pokemon that are not guaranteed to die. With perfect special, the Arbok is 82%. And then with our 11 attack, I believe the Gloom is about a coin flip to die. So our special putting in work, doing what it's supposed to do. And then actually getting the Gloom range as well. So at this point, and for this split since Chuck really, I've been trying to decide whether or not I want to save the game for the next spinner or not. The next spinner that we're about to fight, or pass rather, in Pryce's gym after we fight these electrodes is a special spinner because he is a spinner on ice. He is off screen when you have to decide whether to quote unquote pass him, and you just ice skate into his open arms if he so decides to embrace you. So, unlike other spinners where we actually have some control over the, conditions that we pass under, with Douglas, we don't have that luxury. So, I think at some point Stringflow did like literally like actually 1 million simulations of passing Douglas, and it is almost exactly 50% to hit him if you just try to pass. So the standard strategy is to save the game and then just reset and try again if you hit him. Because Douglas is a terrible spinner to hit. He is the worst spinner to hit in the game for so many reasons. He's got 3 Pokemon, I believe. It's been a while since I actually like fought him. He's got 3 Pokemon. One of them doesn't die. And that one that doesn't die, Cloyster, has Supersonic. And on top of all of that, remember, we are perfectly and delicately managing each and every PP usage. So he completely screws your whole PP route. You have to do something if you hit him. You either have to teach Slash when you learn it at level 38, take an extra Pokemon Center, or some other shenanigans. So some runs you'll have to YOLO him because you don't have enough pace, but I do believe I'm gonna save here after how good the split has gone, and it appears that Past Me agrees. Now what's funny is that my PB does this, and there he is, and then you gotta pass him again. It ain't right. You know? But way better than actually fighting him, right? Yeah, so my PB does the same thing and hits him 5 times. So it's fortunate that this run has had some, after the spinner that we hit on the Bugsy split, has had some pretty darn good luck, such that I could actually save and be okay here. Most of the runs that I'd gotten to this point were YOLOing because they just weren't good enough. If you can't really afford to hit him even once, it's better to just not save and then reset if you hit him. I get the crit on Dugong, but yeah, that is a damage range. The seal is a damage range as well. It's like 20% to die or something with 11 attack. And then I believe world record hits Douglas 3 times. So that's why we're saving pretty significant time against both runs. A really significant time against PB, even hitting him. And it's a run. It felt so good to get past this point because I had been, like I said, it had been like 6+ weeks since I made it past Poliwag. It was getting tough. I had some criminally bad luck on Rival 2 and Whitney. Of course, other places too, but just lost a ton of runs to those fights. And then somewhat cruelly, just after that, you have to pass yet another spinner. The same spinner, Ernest. Kind of silly small thing, but we're going to enter this ladder from the right, even though we entered it from the bottom last time, because we're not fighting the trainer. So in order to avoid the turn frame, by entering the next room facing the direction that we already need to move, you actually enter that ladder from a different spot. Perfect pass. And he's stuck too, for fun. Unlinked direction had just spun. Easy. We love to see it. Over-scrolled the escaper up there slightly. That's okay. I hate how like every trainer is like one tile off to the side, you know, like why couldn't Jasmine be on the left? Feels weird. And we have enough levels by the time we get to this fight that this is a nothing fight, nothing can go wrong. Outspeed and one shot everything. All right. Second shopping trip. There are two reasons why you have to do a second shopping trip, because we did already buy from the Smart. Your Feraligatr doesn't have enough happiness. Actually, it's still a Crocodile the first time you come here. You don't have enough happiness to get returned from this lady. Or friendship, I guess. Well, I don't know what it's called. Yeah, she won't give it to you yet. Number one. And number two, you don't have enough money to buy all of the things that you need for the rest of the game, which is, you know, decent bit of game. Actually faster to buy X speed last there, even though you have to scroll back up to it, because it goes under the items that you use more. X special and X attack. You'll sometimes only use one X speed in the whole run, so even though it's extra scrolling to like purchase it in that order, it puts it in a more favorable position in your bag. So it's actually faster to do it like that. And the PvP section continues. So at this point, there are 2 spinners left in the run. There's Joyce, who is just before Victory Road. You have to pass her on 2 separate tiles, but you are on the bike. That being said, I have a terrible history with Joyce. Even on this grind, I hit her a few times on runs that could have been it. And then you also have Rebecca, who's in Sabrina's gym. You have to pass her on 1 tile, but of course you're on foot because you're inside the gym. kind of messed up to have a spinner that late in the run, but it is what it is. At least it's not Crystal. Crystal has like almost 3 times as many spinner passes as Gold does. It's like absolutely crazy. One of the reasons that I prefer this game. It's like, you know, they're spinners and you get the nice, oh, are we going to pass them or not going on? But, you know, Crystal takes it a step too far. There's so many. There's a spinner in Kanto and Crystal that you have to pass on 3 separate tiles right at the end of the run. It's so messed up. Nice flinch there on Muck. This is where we would teach Slash if some crazy PP shenanigans had happened. Like if we had hit Ernest on the the previous spinner, most recent spinner. Just same as before, we make sure that we use the right moves and try to focus on being as crispy as possible while doing so. I've gotten quite lucky with quick attacks actually. Have I gotten even one since it was a thing? I don't think so. It adds up to be a pretty big deal. If we had worse special attack, so let's say sometimes 13, but definitely 12, you would have actually bought calciums on the 4th floor of the Goldenrod Mart and then use them in this next menu after this fight. It's kind of interesting that I don't know if there's other runs, glitchless runs that, and maybe in later gens, that you actually buy vitamins to use them and have it actually be like faster on average to do that. But because we have perfect special, we don't have to do that. We're going to do a fun little trick here. Kind of a trick where we bonk into the wall. Whoa. Over-scrolled that a bit. Bonking into the wall and then opening the menu after wastes just enough time to pass this rotator pretty much perfectly. So it's just a consistent way to line up the timing of walking past him without getting hit. Remember, a rotator spins one direction after the other on a set timer, so it's like deterministic. What is this Porygon range? Like 30% or something? Got him! Got him! Feels good, man. He can try attack status you. So, that's a good one to be getting. Well, I haven't seen try attack status in forever. Thank goodness. That's because I haven't gotten here in forever, though. Isn't that right? All right, in order to make our PP workout, we need to use a bunch of bites on this fight, but in order to do that, we need to set up an X special. So we do it on this coughing. He's got Smokescreen, Sludge, and Tackle, I think. And we get critical poison from this fucking coughing, which is actually a disaster. The criticals damage. It's a good thing we didn't get all those quick attacks, because we actually would be having some precarious looking HP for making it all the way through Clair and beyond without healing. But so that's nice. But more importantly, this poison is just so slow, because there's not a menu that I can combine with something else to heal this poison off. I just have to do it right away, because I'm about to do a ton of walking to get to the underground rocket segment, as well as fight the next rival fight. So I just have to open the menu, and for the sole purpose of healing off this fucking poison. Let's see how long it takes for fun. So that was about 30. About 7 seconds to heal that poison off. Still a little stutter step there. That's again to line up the timing of past. If you just walk like without wasting any time past that guy, you will hit him. So you have to delay just slightly. So super lame, but whatever. Got the Porygon range, evens out, right? Because we have perfect special, this Golbat is 97% to die, which is great because he has Supersonic. We need to set up an X special. If you have really bad special, you just have to use it on the Golbat, or if you still have your Bitterberry, then you can do it. Instead, we get to do a cool strat where we set up the X special on Magnemite, get paralyzed. It consumes the paralyzed Kerberry, but we actually want that Thunder Wave to hit, because remember, it has a 25% chance to miss because it's that mechanic with the AI using it. We actually want it to hit because we want the paralyzed Kerberry to be consumed, because A, it's a lot faster for that to happen than it is to have to replace the held item with the pink bow later. Like a lot of text involved with doing that, and the paralyzed Kerberry just sits in your inventory for the rest of the run. Yeah, it's not quite worth tossing it, but it's just there for the rest of time, which is really annoying. So I love that strat. Super consistent, and if it fails, then you'd have to take the paralyzed Kerberry out, whatever. But if we didn't have the Bitterberry or the paralyzed Kerberry, then we'd actually set up on Meganium instead, who can Razor Leaf crit, wouldn't kill, or Poison Powder. Then we'd have to heal another poison, another 7 seconds. Being able to do it like that is really nice. You'll often lose the paralyzed Kerberry to a number of things. Rival 2 Ghastly, the Snubble has Lick, Whitney shenanigans, Jolteon Thundershock can paralyze you. Morty's Ghastly can paralyze you. One of the Haunters in the gym can paralyze you. This muck is guaranteed with Surf, thanks to our perfect special. Be a range with worse special. Continue to be lucky with quick attacks. Now this muck, I believe it's like 55% to die, and it does have poison gas, which would be a disaster. I actually was not supposed to ice punch that, but you do have 1 or 2 extra ice punches, so it's fine. And we miss the muck range. My perfect special. Getting Porygon, but not muck. That's okay though. Got hardened super fast. Anyone else really struggle with this puzzle as a kid? And then like the answer to the puzzle is just 3, 2, 1. It's 3, 2, 1 in the remakes as well, by the way, in Heart Cult Soul Silver. They kept it as 3, 2, 1. It's like, did they want to make you feel stupid? Blissfully ignorant as a kid, thankfully. Probably just pressed them randomly until it finally worked. Ooh. Nearly nose blowing time again. This fight is always funny to me because you like use the moves. I don't know how to describe it. It's like backwards from what you would expect as a casual player or something. Where you ice punch the Raticate, but then strength the Golbat. And then like funnily enough on the next fight you do strength and then ice punch. And in the reverse order. Anyway, these both die. Next fight is Bite Bite, and then we have some actual fights to talk about, but I'll be right back. Bite Bite. Now, I will say, I went out and bought medicine for my runny nose, and then took a really, really hot shower to try to kind of steam it out of there. It is better than it was, but oh well. I wanted to get the commentary out. We got to do it. Hopefully you will forgive me. Oh, opening the Pokemon menu. Whoa. Actually, gotta watch that again. You can see it. Look, I hold down and press down. Look, hold down. Let go. Oh, that's what it was. I let go just slightly too soon. So then I got the down input. It was supposed to hold down, go down one, and then press down to the next. How close was that? Oh my god, it was like it's like 1 frame or something. Unlucky. Good thing this is a jam too. So we just taught return over bite. We had like, I don't even know, like usually you have between like 2 and 4 bites left or something. So we got quite a lot out of our bites. And now we get the strongest move ever. Return with high attack stat Pokemon with the, well, we don't have the pink bow yet, but pink bow held item increases normal moves by 10%. And our happiness is actually not maxed yet. I believe happiness max is somewhere around Erica's gym, so it's still a decent bit off. But still super, super strong move. Pretty short name, 20 PP, so good. This Golbat is like 40% to die or something. And we don't get it. And the Confuse Rays. Bit of a disaster. Really slow. At least that strength didn't crit for the ultimate rage-inducing event. You know? No, don't know if I could have handled that. So between the poison and that, really not great. Yeah, we got the Porygon range, but those two things were really slow. Even with perfect special, this Arbok is a range, if you can believe it. 95%. And then Vileplume's like, what, 60% or something with perfect special? This Vileplume's got some stuff that can mess you up. You can do a ton of damage, you can status you. Thankfully we got that, at least. And finally, the last one. And nothing can go wrong in this fight. All out speed, all one shots. So PB had a really good pink post split there. I mean, you can see it was actually my gold split in my PB. Didn't lose too much against record though. So people always ask for the quiz. Is every answer yes? No. You can press B for no. Which you can see on the input viewer. Have another trainer here where we have to delay our movement just slightly to not hit him. That was a little more than slightly. As I ran into the sign. I think you might actually literally have to stop for 1 frame to not hit him. You can do it really fast. But we just made extra sure, huh? Finally get a little quick attack action. Thankfully our HP is looking fine. The Vileplume is the main threat for doing like a ton of damage to you at the end there. We only got one of the 2 quick attacks. And one of like fucking 20 or something that we could have gotten. Alright, ice path time. Kind of fun to do this in a run. Get a couple of tiles of immunity from encounters when you enter in a cave like that. So you use those tiles to set the repel wear off to be a little more comfortable in the next room. Strength from the menu, since we had to repel anyway. And then we get to do the cool thing where you can move while the boulders are in motion in Gen 2. Cool ass mechanic. Oh, look at him go. A good ass ice path. We're gonna zip to the left here, boom, because that girl can move up and block you if you don't do that. I like... You're meant to come up into that tile, not come at it from the left, so that you don't get a turn frame after this menu. I got surprised that that happened. And then open the fucking Pokemon menu again. After all that beautiful movement. But yeah, you see Poliwag learned Waterfall instantly there because it was level... or Whirlpool instantly there because it was level 17. Nice little time save over catching a higher level one. It's pretty slow to teach over a move, as you saw with the second HM. So other than Clair herself, this gem is pretty free as long as you have a healthy amount of HP like we do. Other than the fact that there are the Seadras that can use smokescreen on you. And while it's generally fine if that happens, you can miss so many returns that you actually run out of PP. So maybe I shouldn't say relatively free, but it's decently unlikely that you actually miss enough for it to matter. But you could have had to spend extra PP in the previous section from missing ranges, like we missed the Golbat range, so we had to use an extra strength. Same thing would have happened if we missed the Vileplume range. And these Seadras are actually strong enough that they don't die in one hit. But, you know, still knowing Lear at level 37. And you see me actually, well, I guess you don't see me. I got triggered there because I like took a little too long to go from pressing fight to selecting the move, because like I talked about earlier, I swear, especially in Clair's gym and onward, the amount of lag there increases. You have to change your timing. God, I love the move while the boulder moves thing so much. It's so cool. Uh-oh. Like, you could potentially just lose your run there. You missed enough times. 75% to hit after one smoke screen. So, Clair's Kingdra can be a super troll. Or perhaps Clair herself. The Kingdra has Surf, Hyper Beam, Smokescreen, Dragon's Breath. Dragon's Breath Paralyzed is obviously really bad. But she can also Hyper Potion. Even from like very middling HP. Which can be so troll. Hyper Beam's great because it means that she cannot Hyper Potion, which she could have from that HP. Now, of course, we have to go on this stupid side quest to get the badge that we already rightfully earned. Which, in gold specifically, gold silver specifically, is not much of a side quest. It's literally just a do you have Whirlpool check. Well, we did it. And so that repel wearing off there is the reason that we repelled outside of the gym. You can't use a repel while one is active in this game. You have to wait for it to wear out. So now we can repel and escape rope in the same menu. Otherwise, you know, we would have to do our next repel in its own menu. Faster to walk than bike there. So you need to waste 2 steps so that your repel will wear out in front of the next spinner, which basically acts as a pause, but for free, since the repel was going to wear out anyway. But I messed up the smooth little doop-doop down up into the water there. I love that movement too. Shame to miss it. Turns out there's actually a slightly faster way to do that anyway, that I didn't know about until after this run. But, so it's actually doubly bad. I did the wrong thing wrong. You don't waste the tiles at the water, but then you come at this trainer from above. I think you'll be able to see it after the fight ends. Pause for a second. Yeah, so instead of going like this, you would go like this, like come from here, go up, and then come here. And then that wastes the 2 steps, but you get to bike all of these tiles, so it actually winds up being faster to do that. That guy to the right here, yeah, his range is really long, so you have to go in the water there. I love this section, like dodging the trainers by surfing and stuff. Yeah, you see my heart rate's pretty high right now. I have a history with Joyce. I am definitely nervous. We take the free heal here, and this is the end of that PP section we mentioned like a fucking hour ago. And this is kind of interesting. So, you know, we need to repel and escape rope on that tile where we pick up the Dragon's Fang, right? So your repel always starts from the same point. And we want it to wear out on the tile just before we pass Joyce, so it acts as a pause, but at no time loss. The problem is that you can't waste 1 step, right? Because if you want to waste repel steps, you have to take a step out of the way, and then you need to come back to the right tile. So you can only waste steps in multiples of 2, except in this house, because in this house you can exit here, or you can take 1 step to the right and then exit here, which does waste 1 tile, because either way you come out on the same tile. It's small and silly, but it's the only way to get to change the even odd parity of the number of steps that you have, which lines up to to have the repel wear out on this tile where you want to pass her. So I think that's really cool. That's just me. But yeah, you'll see this acts as a pause. She just spun. We're gonna take this Joyce pass very seriously. She just spun to an unlinked direction. Up and left are linked, and we're passing on the right. And she just spun, and we're on the bike, which means this is a banger pass, and we're 100% taking it. It looked like there was delay there, but it's just because of the repel. She was frozen that whole time. She's facing up. We pause. Nope, not taking that. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. She's fucking trolling me. Okay, so all of that, I might have actually taken that pass if I didn't have like one of those passes if I didn't have so much trauma with Joyce. But remember, up and left of the link direction. She's 50% to spin up next if she's facing left. So all of those up and lefts, even though one or two of my pauses was, you know, right as she had spun, which is good. Considering my lead on record here, I am not willing to take a mediocre pass, even though on many other runs I would have. She's trolling. She's just trolling me. And then if we finally get an unlinked direction in a pretty good pause, it has not been that much time since she spun. We're going to take this one, and we do wind up making it past Joyce. Finally. Chat says she tried. She sure did. I believe that Kingler is not a range. I think it never dies. This Golduck is like a terrible range, like 10% or something. I don't even know with 11 attack. But that doesn't matter if you crit. You thought we were done. We weren't done. Quite some good crits this run. This Rapidash, we could return to save the super effective text if our attack was better, but it's not, so we can't. Everybody always complains about, oh, the Victory Road is so empty. It's kind of fun to just bike through this place, and the music is a vibe. It's actually faster to go past the exit because it makes the rival walk less on his exit, I think. And I need to blow my nose before we lock in for E4. This has been worse than I thought it would be, but it is what it is. Nice. Yeah, nothing can happen in that fight, so we are good. So this guy right here, he can actually walk up again and completely block you from interacting with the smart, which is, of course, completely ridiculous. That has happened to me and others before, and he can just sit there for like 10 seconds. It's awful. Thankfully, that did not happen here. Look at him, though. He wants it. Have to set up X Special here, and then Xatu can either Psychic or Confuse Ray. We got Confuse Ray, which is unfortunate. But we use our last full heal. Get it out of the bag so we don't have to scroll past it anymore. And you actually want to take some damage. So, not having to full restore there because we still had a full heal is nice. Because ideally you want to be under half of your maximum HP for the Karen fight, because it makes her less likely to use Confuse Ray by a lot. Now, this Slowbro is a damage range to 2-shot. And with our 11 attack, it's actually not an amazing range, as you can see. But it doesn't matter because we just crit. So that was actually really, really, really good to crit, because while yes, I did just say that you want to take some damage, taking Psychic from Slowbro there actually winds up being too much damage most of the time and results in you having to full restore, which is really slow. It's decently difficult. It's actually pretty difficult to get an Elite Four that is under half HP for Karen, but also doesn't have to heal at all, but that's the dream. And can be really, really fast. Koga leads Ariados. We also have to set up an X Special. On this, he can either double team or Giga Drain. If he double teams, then we just go ahead and X Accuracy. X Accuracy works the same exact way as it does in Gen 1, where it completely skips the accuracy check. So even if he double teamed 6 times, we would still always hit with X Accuracy. And there are 2 more Pokemon in this fight that can use evasion increasing moves. So if the Ariados leads Giga Drain, then you just skip the X-Ac and hope to get through the evasion of the other 2, but having to hit through 3 evasions is a bit too unlikely. Worse than a coin flip. And there's the muck minimizing. And then usually this robot will fell team. He can actually use Toxic, which is super toxic. That would be, again, just another extra menu heal. This is another strat that I kind of love for no reason. X attack, knowing this Hitmontop's gonna dig, and then just X attack again while he's underground. But we're not going to take damage again, for sure. Everything is outsped and one hit, so we don't actually wind up getting under half HP for Karen. And I mean, at least in this instance, the reason for that was that our HP and defense were really good, which can be really helpful in, you know, the Slowpoke Well section and the Chuck section, going through the whole Rocket segment through Clair's gym. Makes it a lot less likely that you'll have to heal for those sections and makes them safer, especially in the case of Whitney. But here, it has led to us potentially being opened up to a pretty bad Karen fight. I'd say, to be clear, I'd say, you know, overall, you definitely still want to have high stats, even in defense and HP, but in this case, there was a drawback. And we do get the Confuser on turn 1 too, which is the worst, because the Umbreon doesn't die in one hit even with the X special setup, so we can actually get Confused Rate again. Get Sand Attack, which is somewhat expected. X-Ack again. Cancel that. Sand Attack again, thank goodness. Remember, it doesn't matter how many she uses once we set up X-Attack, or X-Ack. And another Sand Attack. Thankfully, we did not get more than one Confuse Away, which, as you can see, we definitely could have. So not a good Karen fight, but it could have been so much worse. And, you know, we get a completely safe Lance now. There's a few ways that you can take quite a bit of damage, actually, on Lance. I lost more than one run to Lance. My last run that went deep died to Aerodactyl critting me. Wasn't as good as this run, I don't think, but it was world record pace still. Yeah, and then world record gets an even worse Karen fight. He got the fight that we could have gotten there. Love how the music stops there and then dramatically enters the Lance theme. Which is funny, because this is the only fight in the Elite Four we actually don't set up an X item for. Lance has 3 Dragonites. 2 of them level 47. Those are guaranteed the die to Ice Punch. He also has a level 50 Dragonite that with perfect special is about 90% to die to Ice Punch. If you miss the range, he can either use Safeguard and then he'll full restore, or he can Outrage and then he'll be locked out of it. Also, you can freeze and then he always full restores. Aerodactyl outspeeds. And he gets the boost. Look at all these tax boxes. How disgusting. But wait. I literally did not know that that was the damage range. I've had him to get the boost before, but I've never seen him fucking survive because of the boost. That's perfect special attack, by the way. Very, very, very fucked up. I lost so much time to that. Ugh, I've never seen that from anyone. So silly. That being said, we do have enough of a lead on record that if I have a very good Kanto, then I can actually world record even if I hit the spinner from here. So without hitting the spinner, decently free outside of red from here. You have to remember, if you look at my PB, it's only 3 seconds slower than world record. However, it was almost a minute faster on the previous split. I lost all of that time to the red fight. And then I had a completely separate run that finished 4 seconds slower than record that also lost all of its time to the red fight. Red is about 50-50 to go perfectly. A little worse than that, actually, but I'll talk more about that when we get there. Now, I will admit, I'm usually pretty good about practicing my late games when I don't get there for a while. But in this instance, I had definitely been slacking. It had been a minute since I had done Kanto at all. Like, up to probably 3 or 4 weeks. So there will be some things. Truthfully, I don't remember exactly. what went down, what with the adrenaline and such. But I do remember there was at least one or two sillies that occurred. We'll get to be surprised by them together. The song also slaps. This is a fun trick. Fly from Vermilion to Vermilion. Because you do get this flight path. It's actually faster to fly. I love that. Kanto's nice. I really enjoy Kanto. Mostly like execution, good music, and as long as you're practiced, it's relatively chill. He says, pressing B on the text box where it asks you if you want to cut the tree or not. Alright, rock tunnel time. Unlike Gen 1, this shit is actually pitch black, so you'll just have to trust me when I say what's happening. That was perfect. That was perfect. That was technically perfect in the sense that I meant to take the extra step and bonk the wall. That was pretty fucking good. Oh, just a tiny little turn frame weird at the end. That was a really good rock tunnel. And do we get the entry? Yes, just like at Chuck's gym. That's harder than it looks. Kind of have another one here with the weird lag after this tree. Pretty hard to do that without bonking. Kanto's another PP management section, but it's relatively straightforward. Unlike the rocket section. But you do use all of your returns and then max ether it and then use them all again. You use all your surfs as well. This Executor is another example of something you could return to save super effective text. If you had better attack. We don't. But, you know. I think 11 attack has demonstrated that it gets the job done. You know, there's some things that better attack gets for sure, but it did its job this run. Now it's time for my absolute favorite song in all of Pokemon. Kanto Gym Leader music as heard in Gen 2. This is so hype on a good run. I'm literally like head bobbing to the music in the pod. And Victory Bell will always sunny day. Last spinner. Whew! Okay, we gotta do that again. So remember. So this is an unlinked direction. We're passing right, up and left are linked, but there is a decent amount of time that passed. Now, is this a pass that's worth taking in general? Yeah, it is for sure. Is it worth taking knowing that I might lose record if I hit her and I could be more patient with it? It's debatable. I don't hate taking the pass here. Oh, we'll watch it again. But man, some balls. Yeah, I mean, you do take it. You do, for sure. I guess that, you know, we played it safe on Joyce. We got over our trauma. And then we made an informed and intelligent decision with consent to pass that spinner. I mean, it was definitely fine. It was, but it's spooky. It's spooky. This Espeon's actually like an 80% range. I want to say it can like do some stupid shit like reflect, but who gives a fuck? It's your friend, the critical hit, coming back one more time. Look at that heart rate. And gold split for our balls. You love to see it. And you just simply remember how to get out of this gym. And then you're good. So this is kind of a fun fact. It was actually when I was learning Crystal, which is the second Pokemon game I ever played back in 2014. I mean, the Pokemon game I ever speedrun. And I thought you had to fight that guy who goes on the bridge here. So I literally would like walk up and talk to him. And he's a trainer who you fight. The guy who just ran away from the gym. And I did that for like, I don't even know, like 4 or 5 completed runs before someone finally like asked me like, hey, so like, why are you fighting that guy? I never forget that every time I pass him. All these quote-unquote Nugget Bridge fights are outspeed 1 hits, but there is a Vaporeon and a Pidgeotto that both know Quick Attack. And whether they use Quick Attack or not can actually be really impactful, because you want to not have to heal at all in Kanto. But if you get under a certain HP, which is, what? Under 183, I think, by the time you get to red, then you have to heal, because if you're under that HP, then he'll always thunder, because that's just how the AI works. And you can't be having that. So getting Quick Attack from this Vaporeon is not a good look. The 4 damage may look like nothing, but combined with the potential from the Pidgeotto quick attack as well as the one or two other places you can take damage, it can wind up being the difference in whether you have to heal or not. And we have some really nice stats. Not as good as the Manipped for Alligator defensively, but for Manipless, really good defensive stats. Like, world record has like 0 HP and like fucking, I don't even know, 8 defense or some shit. Which is more what you're used to having. I actually love like all of the Gen 2 Kanto music. The Wild Encounter music is great. What you could do, what you do get to hear because of Snorlax. The route music. Don't get me wrong, like I love Gen 1, but Gen 2 just did it better. Misty gets over it pretty quick when she sees your badges. Surf past all these trainers. I don't know, I just love stuff like that. Quagsire is really likely to Amnesia, but he can also Earthquake, and if he Earthquakes, then your healless Kanto is just already dead. Can't be taking that Earthquake. Bit of a disaster if he uses it. I mean, you know, Not the end of the world, but it's pretty slow to have to full restore. Versus a run that doesn't. One last Abra usage. That's why I actually forgot to mention that. That's why we walked in the Pokemon Center after exiting Rock Tunnel. Is to change our teleport waypoint here, because you can't fly here. In this game. Okay. I've definitely never walked on that tile ever. Or biked. Oh. I can't. Actually, I guess I'll look at it again. Like, where was the up input? Look at that. I'm not fully on the tile yet. Do I let go? How did that... Wait, how did that not go up? You can literally see I'm not fully on the tile yet. That was a bad one. Look at that. How does that not go up? That's absolutely insane. Talking about the input viewer, by the way. Hopefully that's obvious, but... I am my face. Wait. Oh. Yeah, that's old me. Look at him. Listen, bud. I don't blame you. That's absolutely insane. I don't know what to make of that one. So the Kanto, like the order that you do Kanto in is like kind of interesting because obviously you could do it in like a number of different orders for almost exactly the same speed. Like one of the mechanics in Gen 2 is that, you know, there's badge boosts like there is in Gen 1, where, you know, this badge raises your attack, this badge raises your defense. But in Gen 2, there's also type bonuses. So after you beat Bugsy and get his badge, your bug moves now do 10% more damage. Whitney, if you beat Whitney, your normal moves now do 10% more damage. While beating Misty makes your water moves do 10% more damage. And I'm pretty sure that you need Misty's badge boost to have Surf one-shot the Raichu lead in this gym in Surge's fight. I could be wrong about that. It's been a while, and I could be mixing that up with Crystal, but I think that's the case. And there's a few other examples of like, well, you do it in this order because you get a little more XP, and then this is guaranteed. Yeah, this fight is actually a freebie. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to blow my nose one more time. I thought I was gonna make it. Wow. Hit the fucking guy. Foreshadowing. Because I said I didn't remember the Kanto sillies, but I do remember this. Just let it speak for itself. Such second counter music. I've never entered that from above in my life, I can tell you that for sure. Nope, too far there. And yeah. That was less bad than I remember. It just looks terrible. It's sloppy. Didn't actually lose very much time, but it's just sloppy. Bad luck. And for what I believe is the last time, this Sand Slash could be returned if we had better attack, but instead we must Ice Punch for super effective text. Very sad. Brock is just a simple surf times 5, but his Almastar does no protect. It is quite rare that it'll actually use it. I think like 2% or something, but it's really slow if he does use it. Like a ton of lag in text boxes and stuff. Now, how did we save time on world record there? How did that happen? Must have had a worse Diglett's Cave than me. Okay, so this is so bad. Because I took the extra steps in Diglett's Cave, I should have realized, because I know this repel is kind of close, that this was going to happen. So I could get an encounter on this tile, and I could have taken a shorter path like here, right, to not risk this, but I just wasn't thinking about it. So this was actually a pretty bad mistake. About 10% to lose a million years, like 14 or 15 seconds for an encounter. In Gen 2, it's really slow. Big oops. But didn't lose any time. Never punished this time. Weird ass bonk. At least that menu was good. Dude, this is so much mashing at this point in the run. Jesus, he talks so much. So this spinner's kind of interesting in the sense that what you do is get him on screen ASAP. Actually, could have gotten him on screen like one tile sooner, but what you're trying to do is go like walk right up to him, and then if he's stuck, then you pass right here. If he's stuck not up, and you say like 4 seconds from not having to go around here, like get him on screen, and then if he's stuck, if you determine that he's stuck, then you can save, yeah, like 4 seconds, but not this time. It's pretty rare that, because he has to get stuck like almost instantly, or like load stuck. It's like 1 in 16 for him to be stuck every time he spins or so. So, yeah, happens occasionally that you get to save a couple seconds there. Kind of interesting that Blaine only has 3 Pokemon when every other gym leader has 5, other than Blue obviously having 6. I think that's true, right? I think every, let's see. No, Misty has 4, actually. So I guess it's not that crazy. And Sabrina has 3 as well, right? I guess I'm just tripping. It just feels like it should be more. Think of all the fire types he could have. Charizard. Where's the Charizard? Arcanine. That little bit is tricky. It doesn't look tricky, but for some reason it is. And Janine is also free. Return X5. There is exactly one bad thing that can happen in this fight, and it's like the most minor bad thing of all time. I actually don't remember if this run gets it or not. We sure did get it. He gets the priority dire hit. She doesn't always do that. It's a pretty minor time loss, but still annoying. Look, I would have saved time on PB without that. I always have trouble here. Let's see if I... Oh, that looks like trouble. Yep. Something about where the gym is. I don't know. I just feel like I'm going to pass it up, and then I'm like, oh, I didn't pass. Yeah. Something about the... Can't picture shit in my brain. I just cannot envision the entrance to that little alcove. Alright, so this is the main thing that's going to consistently damage you. This thing can either... Oh, weird, almost... Oh, no, I see. It's because my repels are going. Either wing attack or mirror move. And we do get the mirror move, wing attack, unlucky. So, because I had 11 attack, I had to X attack a third time. If I had better attack, then I would have only had to X attack twice there. Actually, literally one better attack, like 12 attack, only has to X attack twice. And then I would not have had to heal because I was outspeeding Pidgeot. And I had almost exactly enough HP to not be forced to heal for red. By like, it would have been by like 2 or something. But yeah, because of that, because of the 11 attack, had to use the extra X attack, gave Pidgeot an extra turn. Lost the, I think, 50-50 on wing attack mirror move. And now I'm forced to full restore. Actually, it was my understanding that Blue's Arcanine chooses whichever move does more damage between Extreme Speed and Flamethrower. So if you have low defense and high special, then that favors Extreme Speed. I thought that this combination of stats wasn't going to get Extreme Speed. I don't know if I had bad information on that or what, but I thought I had enough defense that it would favor Flamethrower. So it turns out that the heelless Kanto was dead the whole time, and we just didn't know it. So not as bad that we got the wing attack in the end, but... Ooh, click on for alligator. Definitely not nervous. So yeah, now I guess we talk about red. Red is 75% to use charm and 25% to use thunder on each turn. You need to set up a guard spec to stop the charm from lowering your attack. 1x speed and 2x attacks for a total of 4 turns. What that means is that between the chance for him to use thunder and the chance for him to actually hit the thunder across 4 turns of setup, I believe Pikachu is 54% to successfully land at least 1 thunder in those setup turns. And once he uses and hits thunder, your HP is now low enough that the AI will always use thunder until it misses, and you obviously have to heal. And then, oh yeah, Mount Silver in the dark. That was not amazing, but not absolutely terrible either. I was actually almost fine. I like went up 1 tile too early right on that last part. Good ending. Not bad. After losing my last 2 runs that made it this far. One that was 20 seconds ahead of this, as you can see. Open the fight menu, Monka S. Scroll away past guard spec, Monka S. But we just call that Manip, don't we? Yeah, look at my heart rate, I'm so nervous. That's 4. And that is a dub. You can still have time loss after this, but... we will definitely be getting world record from here. Well, I mean, you already know that because we're doing commentary, but I'm just saying that definitely getting record from here. It's just a question of by how much. Yeah, that the Venusaur always solar beams there. So interestingly, Red's Pokemon have nearly perfect stats across the board as far as their DVs are concerned, but they lack all stat XP. So to put that into later generation Pokemon terms, they have essentially perfect IVs, but they have no EVs. So the stats wind up not even being that good because of that. But it's funny that they like gave him those nearly perfect stat line. And he really tried to get us, but unfortunately for him, I had a surf left. And that's it. World record. frame counted to indeed be a 3:16:51. And after what was a much longer grind than it should have been, because I got the run that was 3 seconds slower like a fucking 6 months before this. I took a break and played Fire Red and stuff, but oh man, it felt good to get this one after so long. And that's it. That is the commentary. I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you have questions about the run that I didn't explain, leave it in the comment section and I will do my best to thoroughly answer your questions that come from a place of genuine curiosity. If you like the commentary or have feedback on it and like to see more like this, let me know about that too. I enjoy doing these. Like, damn, that was over 3 hours. Like, didn't feel bad at all. Next time I won't be slightly sick also. I hope that wasn't too much of a problem either. Oh, look at that. I hold up my Game Boy at the end of the run and look, the low power light came on right at the end. I have had my Game Boy die on a run before, so that's real. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this commentary, and I will see y'all on the next one.